Hey, what's up everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Energy Shield Nova Sorceress build. This build has become one of my new favorites. It kills really fast and it tanks fairly decent as well. I'm not a big Sorceress player, so I was pretty happy to find a build that I could actually enjoy. It kind of gives me the old school vibes of the Nova Sorceress back in the day, which I really like a lot. I'll be going over the stats, skills, and a couple of variations of gear setups as well. Before we begin, if you could please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel to help me grow, I would greatly appreciate it. So the Nova Sorceress, she is probably one of the fastest killers I played with. She just flies through the game and hits really hard. Her gear is pretty much identical to the Lightning Sorceress build. The only difference here we would see would be in the stats. Since we are using Energy Shield, we are going to be more energy based. For the stats, you want to keep your strength as minimal as possible. Here I put 82 points just to be able to wear my gear. Again, it's going to depend on what attributes you get from your charms and other gear, etc. For dexterity, again, you want to keep it as minimal as possible. Here I put 52 points just to be safe and make sure I can wear my gear. Vitality, you don't have to put any, but I put 10 points into it because I'm weird like that. And you want all the rest of your points to go into energy. As I was saying, we're Energy Shield Sorceress, so we want our energy to be as high as possible. For your skills, for cold skills, I only put 1 point into Frozen Armor just to give you a little bit more defense. That's all you need. For your fire skills, the only skill you're going to use here would be Warmth, which helps your mana recover, and you're only going to put 1 point into that. For lightning skills, as you can see here, you have at least 1 point into everything. You want to max out Nova, that is your main skill here, and then you want to max out Static Field. That's a synergy for Nova, it's going to increase its damage, and then you want to max out Lightning Mastery. That will increase your Nova damage as well. You want to put 1 point into Thunderstorm. It's nice to have for striking random monsters around you. Plus it gets a boost from Static Field. Then you want to max out Telekinesis before you max out Energy Shield. And then all your other points left, put into Energy Shield to increase the absorption rate. For gear, it's pretty much the same as the Lightning Sorceress build. For my weapon, I'm wearing Heart of the Oak. It gives plus skills, faster cast rate, resistances. You could also wear an Ashudas with the highest possible lightning facet that you could get in it. Another weapon that people like to wear, and it's fairly cheap to make, is a Crescent Moon Runeward. It gives negative lightning resistances to enemies. However, that's about it. So if it's early on and you need those extra negative lightning resistances for enemies, it's not a bad weapon to have. If you're on a super budget, then you can always go with a Spirit Sword. You can make those early on in ladder, and it's not hard to get. Some people like to wear Infinity in the low strength polearm and put an insight on their Mercenary for the extra mana regeneration. This is another variation to the build, and it's pretty effective as well. However, go with whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever you can afford. For my shield, I'm wearing a Spirit Monarch. It gives me skills, mana, faster cast rate, and resistances. For a budget shield, you can go with a Lidless Wall. That will give you +1 to skills and some mana. You can find it early on in Nightmare. Or you can make a Rhyme Shield with a Shale and Eth for resistances and mana regeneration. For my armor, I'm wearing Chains of Honor. It's a nice defensive armor. It gives +2 to skills and some nice resistance. If you want another option, you can go with an Ormus Robe. That gives +3 to lightning skills. And get one with as much lightning damage as you can on it. And you can always put a lightning facet in it as well. If you're on a budget, you could always go with a Viper Magi. That gives some faster hit recovery, +1 to skills. And it comes with some nice resistances as well. For an amulet, I'm wearing Mara's. It gives +2 to skills, some attributes, some resistances. However, a lot of people will either get a rare or crafted amulet with +2 to sorceress skills, some resistances with faster cast rate, etc. It just depends on what you prefer. But if you want to play it safe, Mara's is always a good way to go. If you're on a budget, try to get something with +2 sorceress skills and some faster cast rate and or resistances. So for the helmet, my preferred helmet to go to would be a Griffin's. I need to socket mine with a lightning facet. But a good alternative would be a Shaco. It just gives mana, life, and skills. And if you're on a budget, you could always go with a Lore. It's a low rune word, easy to make, and it gives + to skills. For my gloves, I'm wearing Mage Fist. You could find these in normal, so they're good for a budget build as well. They give faster cast rate and mana regeneration. For my boots, you could substitute these out for whatever you'd like. However, I'm wearing Treks. They give strength, vitality, poison resistance, some faster hit recovery. Just depending on what your needs are, these could be swapped out for whatever you want. And for my belt, I'm wearing Arachnids. It gives 1 to skills, faster cast rate, and increases my mana. Again, you could substitute this out for whatever you'd like. However, this is your ultimate endgame belt to wear. For my rings, I'm wearing 2 Stones of Jordans for the skills and mana. However, you could substitute these for 10 faster cast rate rings with resistances and attributes like strength, dex, or whatever you want on them. But it just depends on what your needs are for your build. And if you want a super budget, you could always go with some Manolds for some mana if needed. And as always, you want a Calling to Arms and Spirit Shield on the switch for battle orders. For charms, since I don't have a ladder sorceress, I don't have the Sunder charm, so I switched to single player to show what you could do for now. You could get as many lightning, skiller, lifers that you could possibly get with as much life as you could possibly get. You want to get a sorceress torch with the highest stats that you can, an Annie with the highest stats that you can, and then you want to aim for some mana and life small charms. Since you're an energy shield sorceress, you want that mana as high as you can get, as we talked about earlier. And if you're lacking in resistances, you could always go for some resistance small charms to fill that gap. For your Mercenary, I went with an Act 2 Holy Freeze Mercenary just to help freeze the monsters around me. For armor, you could go with a Fortitude. Obviously, you want to do an Eth Fortitude for more defense for them. I went with an Andes helmet. You could do an Eth one as well. I put Ral Rune just to make up for the extra fire resistances that go missing with this helmet. And then depending on if you wear an Infinity or not, if you're wearing an Infinity, then you want to have your Mercenary wear an Insight. If you're wearing like the Heart of the Oak with Spirit or whatever you choose to wear for your weapon, and you're not wearing Infinity, then put the Infinity on your Mercenary, and that will fill whatever gap that is there. And this is the Energy Shield Nova Sorceress build. Again, it's very powerful. It kills really fast. It tanks really well. I absolutely love it. If you want to try it out for yourself on single player, I will have the files on my Patreon with a link in the description to go download it, and you can add it to your D2 saved character folder. You don't have to be a Patreon subscriber to download the files. Just click the link in the description and click on whichever character you want that I have posted and go download those files. There's several to choose from, and I'm always updating it. If you could please give this video a like and subscribe to help me grow, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I will end the video with some gameplay.
Death.